What's up, folks? Welcome back to TacticalTortoise. My name is Trevi, and Games Workshop just dropped a bombshell of an FAQ for the Necron Codex that absolutely annihilated the most powerful and most common Necron combo within the Codex. One could say eradicated it. Because the change we're talking about today is to the stratagem Cynosure of Eradication. This is in the Canoptek Court detachment, the #1 most popular detachment in the Codex right now. Previously, this stratagem gave all models within a Cryptek unit, that being either a Cryptek itself or any unit with an attached Cryptek in it, because a unit's keywords are the amalgamation of all the keywords of models inside it. So a Cryptek attached to, for example, a Necron Immortal unit would be a Cryptek Immortal unit. And it gave them devastating wounds. Now, the most common combo here, which we saw extensive play across Canoptek Court lists, was to put that Cryptek inside that Immortal unit, make use of the Power Matrix effect from the detachment to reroll all of their hit rolls. If that Cryptek was a Plasmancer, you could then get critical hits on a 5+, allowing you, if you equipped Tesla weapons, to be scoring those critical hits and the Tesla characteristic sustained 2 to get 2 additional hits on critical hits on a 5+. So you have a 33% chance to get 2 extra hits, and because of a Power Matrix, assuming that you are within your Power Matrix, you're going to get to reroll everything to try to get those sustained hits. Now, Cynosure of Eradication also give the unit devastating wounds, and with an attached Overlord, usually one with a Translocation Shroud, to allow the unit to move 11 inches before shooting, because the Translocation Shroud allows the unit to advance a full 6 inches every time it advances, and the unit is equipped with assault weapons so they can advance and shoot with no penalty. So that allowed the unit to fire 20 times, get probably 6 critical hits for an additional 12 hits, reroll all the non-critical hits into probably 4 or 5 more to get another 10 or so sustained hits, for a total of somewhere between 20 and 30 successful hits. From there, the unit could gain devastating wounds for free thanks to the Overlord's Rites of Battle effect from that Cynosure of Eradication. If they targeted an enemy on an objective because of implacable eradication, so much eradicating going on with this unit. They just loved eradicating.
Oh boy, here I go killing again.
They would also gain wound rerolls, allowing you to fish for critical wounds to get devastating damage. That devastating damage ignored saves, so the fact that the Tesla Carbine is kind of mid-strength, no AP, didn't really matter so much. You're probably full rerolling into a bunch of 6s and getting 8 to 10 devastating wounds out of that unit. Now, obviously, it is a complicated combo. It requires 2 characters. The use of the stratagem, you only get 1 use of it for free every round. You also have to be within your own army's power matrix, and you have to be targeting an enemy touching an objective marker. So it's not a unit with a huge threat range. They only move 11 and shoot 24. It's relatively easy to hide from, and if you just don't touch objective markers that you can't hold on to, it actually doesn't really do anything anyway. But Games Workshop didn't see it that way, and they nerfed the Cynosure of Eradication stratagem into the dirt. It now only affects Cryptek and Canoptek models within the targeted unit, meaning that instead of affecting the entire unit and granting devastating wounds to everyone, it now will only grant those devastating wounds to the single Cryptek. This drastically reduces the power level of Canoptek Court, because the Immortal Bomb was one of the big problem solvers in the detachment. Unfortunately, it is a Canoptek-focused detachment, and the Canoptek units themselves are not very good at hitting very hard. Doomstalkers are probably the one exception to that, but otherwise, you're looking at a bunch of Wraiths, essentially at strength 6 AP1 in melee, and maybe with a particle caster that already has devastating wounds baked in anyway. Making this stratagem for 2 CP probably wildly overcosted, because none of the units that you're using it on have access to wound rerolls innately, and very few of them have a particularly high volume of attacks, which is what you want when you're fishing for devastating damage. Not to mention the fact that you probably aren't using the stratagem for free, because you're not targeting a unit with an Overlord in it if you're targeting Canoptek units, so that 2 CP cost starts to add up quite a bit. Now, Canoptek Court has been seeing some success over the last couple of weeks, although it hasn't been blowing the game up. it's been pretty good. And while there have been a lot of lists that focus extremely heavily on this immortal brick and take 2 or 3 units of immortals with the full combo assembled, I think the more effective lists used it as more of a tool in the Swiss Army knife. They would use 1 or 2 immortal units that they could use to go out and problem solve, particularly tough enemy units that were camping objectives. And especially for a unit like Immortals, it's kind of a glass cannon, a bit of a one-hit wonder. I think this combo was pretty fair. It allowed you to jump out, shoot, probably kill what you were shooting at, but then unless you were absolutely destroying your opponent, the return fire would likely kill the Immortal squad. They are only T5 models with a 3+ armor save and 1 wound, and there's a couple characters in there as well, so you could potentially be giving up assassination once you committed that unit. So honestly, this is a little bit inexplicable of a nerf, in my opinion. The characters contributing their keywords to a unit and making them eligible for strats and abilities is kind of how the Necron Codex has been designed, and especially detachments like Obsessence Phalanx and also Canoptek Court benefit greatly from the fact that a character will contribute their keywords to the unit they're attached to, including Awakened Dynasty, that essentially makes 3 of the detachments in the Codex focused very heavily on this effect, and nerfing it, I don't know, just doesn't really make sense to me. So it's a sad day for Necron players. This is a very surprising errata, in my opinion. I did not see this one coming. Now, interestingly, we haven't seen any erratas to the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex, and we did see a couple other clarifications. The Obsessence Phalanx's Territorial Obsession, which allows you to increase your objective control, can now target any Triarch unit, allowing it to target Triarch Stalkers as well. And there has been a clarification that Cosmic Precision, the stratagem within Hypercrypt Legion that allows you to set up your unit anywhere on the table outside 3 inches of enemies, does allow you to kind of pseudo deep strike even if you're coming out of Strategic Reserve. Because normally with Strategic Reserve you would have to set up off the 6 inches of the table edge, and Cosmic Precision says that instead of doing that you set up anywhere. It overrides the normal restrictions. That's a good clarification, because I actually think that was a little up in the air. There's a potential that that was not how it actually was intended to work, which would have really harmed the power level of Hypercrypt Legion as well. So it is good that Hypercrypt Legion remains at its current power level. I do think that it's probably, while harder to play, probably better at scoring than Canoptek Court for sure, even if it does a little bit less damage. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of people switch into Hypercrypt Legion with this new nerf to Canoptek Court's ability to deal damage, which is unfortunate because I think it kind of maybe railroads Necrons into only 1 detachment. Although Canoptek Court definitely still has play, it's more of a board control oriented detachment now with less offensive output. So let me know down in the comment section what you think about this nerf. It's a pretty big one, and my heart goes out to Necron players for getting the rug pulled out of them randomly. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Big thanks to everybody who supports the channel, either over on Patreon at patreon.com/TacticalTortoise, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subscribers. All you people are great and I love you. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming.